I got so nervous. We've done one time in the entire time of doing this podcast, we did like 12 minutes without the audio recording. We had both cameras on, but no audio.
Excellent.
It was brutal. So then you're like, when you realize it in the middle and you're like, man, we're kind of in a flow though. Do I tell them now?
And you can't recapture any of that.
So I just like hit record, and then I was like, I don't know how to explain this to you, but I got to do the whole intro all over again. So just bear with me here. So it is what it is, but I think we're good. Recording. So we should be good. Welcome to the Slightly Serious Sign Podcast, brought to you by Wensco Sign Supply, the #1 podcast in the sign and graphics industry for news, events, new products, and customer success stories. If you want to know what's going on or you want to grow your sign shop, you're in the right place. Here is one, some, or all of your hosts, Mike, Tyler, and Domingo. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Slightly Serious Sign Podcast. As you can see, we're still not in the studio here. We're at ISA. This is the last day of the show. If you can't tell where I am at, based on what's behind me, we'll talk about that here today. So I have one returning guest and one new guest. So if you guys want to go ahead, introduce yourselves, who you are, who you work for, and how long you've been doing this. Josh, you can go first, being the one that, has already been on here.
The veteran. I'm Josh Culverhouse. I've been in the industry for a little over 20 years, various companies. I'm now with Metamark. We are a UK-based company, and we've been manufacturing for over 35 years, roughly, in the UK, with global expansion throughout those decades. More recently, we've entered the U.S. market here in the last year and a half, and we've been building our distribution network and prepping for a big product launch. Yeah. So I want to hand it over to Tom Reece here.
Hi, I'm Tom Reece. I'm the Global Markets Development Manager for Architectural at Metamark. I've been with Metamark now 2.5 years. I was brought in specifically to run our architectural department, which is the product we'll get onto shortly, which is MIA, which is our architectural offering. Yeah,
it's been a bit of a. I know we talked about it originally. You guys sent me samples of it for when I was like, I want to do something in my office. You guys were like, oh yeah, Metamark makes a product for that. Like, it's not here yet, but we can get you some, and sent it out to me. And I was like, man, this is sweet. And then I know what the process is like to bring on new products. I know you guys have been working on it for a long time. And obviously we're excited to be able to sell it pretty soon here. So, yeah. So the question I ask as the icebreaker, which is always good for shows, because I assume you guys have had dinner, I hope, at some point during the show, right? Is if you could eat anywhere with anyone at any location, where would it be? And you can answer all three, one or two of those, however you want to answer it.
I think the safe answer is to say my other half and in a nice restaurant at home. But I think I'll go with probably not very topical at the moment. I'd probably say Tiger Woods at Augusta the night before the Masters would be ideal. Yeah.
So the champions dinner.
Yeah.
Which you have aspirations.
You saw me at Topgolf. It's possible.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
You're right there.
Yeah, on the verge. Yeah. I chose to decline the invite this week and come here instead.
Yeah, it's kind of a busy week. For that. It would have been. It was
just a bit inconvenient to go there. So,
yeah. That's respectful. Yeah,
we appreciate your prioritization of the show.
Josh, has your answer? I think we asked you last time. Did we ask you last time about food?
I don't think so.
So where would it be?
If it's this week, I really enjoyed Taffer's the other night.
Okay.
There. You're just down International Drive. Really cool ambiance, good drinks, good food. Yeah, it was enjoyable.
There's a lot of good food close to this convention center, which I feel like is for some reason surprising to me. Like every time I come here and we go to a new restaurant, I just think, man, this one's pretty good too. I don't know, I don't know what's going on here. So, yeah, they got great Italian food. They got great steakhouses. It's kind of crazy to see it, but. So like we talked about, the thing we wanted to bring up is the MIA product. Do you want to explain what it is, kind of give a general overview of what it covers? Obviously there's some of it behind me as well that you can hopefully see, but just give a general overview for it.
Yeah, so MIA is our architectural film. It's a polymeric self-adhesive vinyl that can be applied to any non-porous substrate. So whether that's a door, a locker, even a cubicle in a toilet, take a hotel room, for example, or those fixed case goods that usually just get ripped out and replaced this is an alternative for that, all the way through to your domestic kitchen, bathroom, bedroom sector with, kitchen doors, even your kitchen worktop. It's a PVC vinyl. Once you install it on a worktop and then seal it, it's waterproof. It will behave exactly like a laminate worktop. And the durability on our product, considering everybody's immediate response, and if they don't know about it, is, it's sticky back plastic. It's a lot more intelligent than that. And as you can see from some of the designs here today, they look and feel very realistic. It suits everybody with whatever budget, whether that's a student accommodation grade set of furniture all the way through to a 5-star hotel. So we've had some real good traction globally with the product. I'm really excited to now launch this in the States.
Yeah. From what we've heard, this is a product that's pretty popular, especially overseas. I mean, even in Europe, but even in Asian markets as well, in terms of they have a lot less, really wood. That's what it comes down to, right? There's a lot less wood available to come out and just, rip out new cabinets and put new ones in. It's more expensive to do it there than it is here, where we have kind of an abundance of natural resource, unfortunately. Yeah. How do you expect this to perform in the US compared to, obviously you guys have it in the UK now? So
there's different stages across the world of maturity in the market. Asia, you've mentioned, they've been wrapping everything for 25 plus years. I got off a plane in South Korea 3 years ago, and every substrate I touched was, because I know the product, I knew it was vinyl at the time, and they would just wrap just a normal MDF board everywhere, and they've been doing that for 25 years. The UK's gone through a maturity process from people just using Dynoc, which we'll get onto here in the States, which is where you're at. And then sort of 7 years later, it's almost become, I wouldn't say a norm, because there's still a massive growth curve to happen in the UK, but it's become more and more known and sought after in all sectors, from domestic through to commercial. I think the States has got a huge opportunity just in the hotel that we're staying in here for the show, which is attached here.
We got a car alarm going off for inside.
I thought every battery had been turned off.
Yeah.
The hotel that we're in, great hotel. But if you look at all the surfaces in there, just the walk that me and Josh have just had from the lift, the lobby at the elevator area in the US all the way here to the show, the amount of wood substrate that you walk past, the door surroundings, everything like that, that's all old world, like maple varnished wood that might have looked good 25 years ago. Places like the States have got a lot of that from the what?
That's so funny.
And so I think there's a lot of scope in the States for now revamping and refurbishing without having that strip out cost. And we have got a competitor in the US that's been here and established, 3M Dynoc, great product. Just sadly, it's difficult to get hold of and a lot more expensive than what we've got. So we're hoping that we're offering a great product, but a cost base that makes sense commercially for people, whether you're a hotel, whether you're even a retail chain. And we're fortunate enough, we've already got a leg up in the US market. We've got a rather large retailer, JD Sports, specify us globally. There's our foothold straight away. But then Josh and the team over the last 2 days have proven that there's so much interest in this sector, and there's so much room for growth.
Yeah. How often, so we mentioned how much opportunity there is in the US, but how often do you think people are actually running into at least this style of product here in the US and have no clue that it's vinyl at all? I
think it happens a lot. Yeah. And I think a large part of my job, not just, coming here, but then even still in the UK, is about education of, what the product is and what it can do. As I mentioned before, a lot of people's reaction is it's a sticky back plastic. They don't realize actually this is a great alternative to, you can live with this for the next 10, 15 years, and not have to replace it, all the way through to a retail unit previously would strip out a point of sale desk. Now they can, leave that substrate in place, completely revamp it. The desk we're sat on is probably a $250 DIY kit that me and Josh managed to put up on Tuesday without a single argument, and the one over there, I think we surprised ourselves, to be fair. But this has been wrapped, and it was worth $250. It's probably worth $500 now. With a lot of people have come to the stand, touched the white marble that's on here, had no clue that's wrapped. We've actually been asked, is it a marble worktop, which it quite clearly isn't. Yeah. But they're very realistic. That's the idea of it. And wrapped properly, you wouldn't have a clue. That's the idea. If somebody that's trained to wrap, they'll terminate it in the right places. And I do it constantly in restaurants. I get in trouble from my other half. I'll be stop checking whether it's vinyl or not. It's just a natural thing for me to do.
Yeah, reaching under the tail.
Yeah, so have they terminated it there? But the whole point is that you're not doing something to make it look cheap. You're doing it to make it look realistic. But what you don't know is that hotel room, for example, they've saved 85% of their refurbishment cost. Yeah. And also they've got no downtime to do it. If I said to you that the restrooms here, for example, we could get a couple of installers to wrap all those cubicles and the vanity top and even the IPS panels behind the urinal in a day, it's transformative for a business to not have to turn that toilet off for a week, 2 weeks while they strip out and replace it. There's so many viable options across all sectors because this product allows you that flexibility.
Yeah. Think about schools and healthcare facilities, all of the laminated pressed board furniture and cabinetry that we have in this country. There's very little real wood cabinetry anymore, right? So a lot of that, especially in healthcare, where you have those old, really dated maroon and teal colors throughout hospitals and doctors' offices, this is a fantastic alternative to just resurface where those cabinets are still perfectly functional, still in really good shape. And maybe they do have some imperfections. Now you can just simply cover it. Even into experiential environmental designers using it for wayfinding solutions on their little placards that are pointing people in certain directions throughout, corporate high rises and things like that, as well as hospitals and schools. Just add a little spice to it.
Yeah. I mean, you even think about it. So, I mean, like our podcast studio, right? For people that have seen it, 100 times, the table in there is Metamark Mia. The other thing I think is interesting about it is, so that's supposed to replicate more of like a concrete countertop. Mm-hmm. The other thing that comes with that is if we had actually done it in concrete, installing the legs and load bearing it are very different scenarios, right? So even if sometimes maybe they could afford to put in a marble countertop, marble isn't exactly the easiest thing to work with if you need to mount it somewhere and make it look nice versus if you cover it and it's still wood is way easier to work with as well. So right. I think besides the fact of it's not as expensive as doing traditional, it's also it might just be an easier solution if you're looking for stone or marble or anything that might be way harder to work with. And
I think you make it more of a design-led approach as well, because you can change that out. Because it's not cost prohibitive, you can, 2 years time, you might think you want a completely new look in that studio. Well, we've got 41 different new looks that you can go for. And you don't even need to take the vinyl off that table. You could just wrap straight over the top of it. So the ease of it is... But then, I mean, we haven't here at the show, we've used some of our other signage vinyl to put, logos over the top of it, but you can actually print directly on it as well. So Josh was mentioning about wayfinding. You can turn what would be an ordinary sign into something that's textured, something that, looks and feels like more in line with your brand, etc., and print onto it in UV, latex, or eco-solvent. And it actually, if you print it onto a wood grain, it sinks into the wood grain, so you can still see the grain running through the print. Yeah. So it doesn't look like a sticker over the top. It looks high-end. It looks like it should always have been there. And I think that's quite transformative, particularly in the retail sector. So that's one of the things we had with JD Sports was printing logos onto concrete. Well, you'd never be able to do that previously. Yeah. And we're talking about how realistic it is. I've been playing a game with everybody that's been coming on the stand and saying, put one hand on the wood grain, one hand on the marble, because they look so realistic. Your brain tells you that one's cold and one's slightly warmer. Of course, we didn't build them to be temperature different at any point. They are exactly the same. It's just how realistic, and your mind plays a little trick on you.
Your brain does the rest. Yeah. So for a traditional sign shop, right, that's coming here, right, that's at the show here, I think a lot of them would look at this and be like, oh, that's cool for someone else to do. I think that's what their brain immediately does the jump to, be like, oh, that's cool for someone else to redo cabinets. How often are you seeing a traditional sign shop coming in and doing these resurfacing when they're already doing, walls and floor graphics and all that kind of stuff?
So we're finding this a lot with it. I mean, our customer model in the UK is slightly different to here in the United States. All of our sales in the UK are direct. So we have a regional sales manager all over, in different parts of the UK, and everything's direct. So we get to see a lot of what that market looks like on a direct level. And there are a lot of sign shops. I'd probably say, 75% of our sign shop customers look at it and go, well, I've already got a customer that I do this for. Well, I can just add this as an extra product. I know I go in there and do like our window etch film, for example. They'll be going into offices and doing refurbishment and doing the etch film for privacy on boardrooms and meeting rooms. Well, in an office space, you've got kitchens, you've got doors, you've got washrooms. All of a sudden, it's an add-on that they've got, and it makes perfect sense because a lot of the skill sets are very transferable. We've seen that this week. We had one of the guys do the sign competition around the corner, and then came and, funny enough, wrapped the back end of that door in a wood grain, which I wouldn't recommend in general. We were just proving a point yesterday. But the skills are transferable. They've already pretty much got that customer base. And then some of them will even be used to wrapping cars and know how much hard work it is to wrap a car, and, the margin that they make on, having to do one car, and, it's the scalability of that. We've had people come up and say, well, I don't ever want to wrap a car again. I want to use architectural because there's a huge margin in it, and there's a growth curve there. I mean, you just look at, say you've got a few neighbours on your street that all want to change their kitchen. Well, you can do that in a day, and all of a sudden you've got a nice little business, all the way through to somebody who's got a scalable signage house that's got these customers that might have a contact with, Hyatt, who are the hotel here. They might be doing the signage for them. Well, now they can have a conversation about doing their rooms or the lift doors or inside a lift. There's so many transferable skills that they've got, and the customer base that is already there for them. So it makes a lot of sense. So we've seen that in the UK, that people just diversify into it because it isn't a big switch for them. All it is about how do they go about selling it, which is where we come in and tell them how they can specify that, what they need to be talking to each sector about. So Josh mentioned about healthcare, for example. A big thing since COVID is infection control. How do you clean surfaces down, how they're used, etc. The vinyl's PVC, it behaves, nothing will live on it, and you just clean it down like a normal work surface. All of a sudden you're ticking lots of boxes for that sector. Whereas if I said to you, like a higher education building, a school or a college, they've got a tight budget. Usually the first thing they kick out of that budget is the toilets. So we all went to school. The toilets were never particularly a great place to go. And the doors, they'll just leave the doors for years to get battered and destroyed, and they don't replace them because of the cost. But now there's a viable option that takes far less time and, a fraction of the cost of rip out and replacement. And that's before you talk about sustainability.
Yeah. I think one thing I'll add is, the intimidation factor with a lot of sign companies in terms of the installation, right? So generally speaking, a lot of these applications are a little bit more simple than, say, a car, right? But the great thing about the United States and other parts of the world as well is the network of installers that a sign company can simply just go contract and partner with.
Sure.
So they don't have to turn down those sales or those opportunities. They can, add value to their business and additional revenue streams by adding services like this, where you literally just open the box, contract an installer, or use one of your own installers, depending on their aptitude, and, contact us for best practices on, say, a unique corner that they might be facing, and we'll walk them through that. But the barrier should not be that difficult, especially with how closely connected the network of installers are, especially in the United States. It's pretty amazing.
Special thanks this month to SIL, GFP, and Gender Formulations. You can check out their products at wensco.com.
The other thing I think about when you talked about there's money to be made here, obviously, right? So if you have a guy that's doing cars, and then we always talk about this in wall graphics, right? If you're only doing cars, and then we're trying to move you like, hey, you should look at doing walls because there's a lot of money to be made in walls, and it's flat. So if you're used to yanking on the vinyl to do a car, walls get a lot easier. And then you bring in this product, and it's the exact same conversation. Like, well, if you're used to doing cinder block walls, okay, well, let me show you this, because I mean, you're talking about hotels that'll come in and do 100, 200 doors of this stuff, and you're talking. I mean, you guys have probably seen it too, but I mean, we probably applied our door, and I mean, it might have taken me a half hour as someone who had never touched the vinyl before.
Yeah.
So assuming you're going to do 200 of them, I can't imagine how quickly they're flying through these doors, and the margin on it is high, because you're not really paying. I don't think you're paying as much. You're not dealing with the market on wrap and wall graphics that have been used to that. You're dealing with more architectural pricing, which just seems to pay a lot better than what we're hearing.
It does. I mean, like you say about a door, say it was yourself and a hotel had asked you to come along and do the hotel room doors, for example. You're going to get through 8 to 10 of those a day. And most of the time you're going to be spending will be taking the ironmongery off the door, tidying the door up, repairing where the cleaner, repairing where the cleaner loves to charge the cleaning trolley into the door, tidy that part of the door up, and then wrap over the top, put the ironmongery back on. It's going to take you an hour or less to do each door, and most of that isn't the wrapping, it's preparing it ready to go. So you'd fly through a project like that, and if there's 2, 3, 4 of you on a job, the amount of margin you can make on that and fly through a hotel in no time at all. And we've got specifications across the world, and we've just finished a 200 bedroom hotel, for example, and where they wrapped all the case goods, and there was a team of 8 installers, and they're all doing one room a day and moving through the hotel. And you think about how fast that is, the margin they can make in that. But then also the hotel, that room's off sale for a day. It's, what's their other option? Take it off for 2 weeks, factor that into the cost, as well as it being more expensive to rip out and replace. It's not a difficult sale either. That's the other thing I would say. The skill set is good for these guys because they've already got it, but also it's not a huge sales pitch either. It's actually quite straightforward. It's an obvious fit for a lot of people. And I think the US market, I would describe it as like a sleeping giant, really.
Yeah.
I think the market here could be huge, and I think realistically it's been underserviced in terms of its offering. Dynoc, we all know, is a great product, but it's, as we've mentioned, it's hard to get hold of, and the price point. So I think that's made a lot of people quite complacent about the architectural market, because there isn't a natural fit to get those costs down and to try and go and get those specifications. People might think it's too hard to sell that product. So hopefully, with our help, and we can go out and educate people with it, we can try and revitalize that option really in the market. And I think over the last 2 days in the show, I think I've said to Josh on the way, and the response we've had has been pretty amazing. Yeah. And it's been really fun to talk to people that, that's the best part of our job, is talking to people that are excited about something that you're offering. And with everybody that's come to the stand is like compared us to what their other options are. And you can see their brain ticking over, thinking, well, okay, we could really look at this. I mean, the amount of swatch books we've handed out in 2 days is quite frightening, to be honest.
Yeah. I think from also a technical standpoint, Tyler, you brought up walls a little bit ago. And, you could use this as a wallpaper type application material. And it does have a strong adhesive that will adhere to those low VOC paints that are rampant in the market that, some people have difficulty finding a solution for in terms of adhesive back products. So it also has air egress, so bubble free. So the learning curve is much easier, and the stability of the product on those more sensitive surfaces, not a challenge anymore. I was
super surprised by the air egress when I used it that first time, because it is super thick. So typically that air egress would be like Okay, yeah, you can air aggress it, but I'll be pushing on this to get the air out. I never had a single issue. Like, I just squeegeed it, and you could hear the air coming out for when because I'm not that good at squeegeeing is probably the problem, but you could hear it coming out, and I was just like,
how satisfying is that noise?
It's unbelievable, though, yeah. But it's unbelievable when a product is that thick, you just keep thinking like, oh, there's no way the air is going to get through this, and it had no problem at all. It's crazy to me, but is there any? So you mentioned earlier that it's a cheaper option to the competitors that are out in the space. Is there other competitive advantages to the film besides the price?
I mean, look, Dynoc is a great product. It's a cast product. Ours is polymeric. We're now in 2026. Polymeric technology has improved and improved and improved. I can heat conform my material, whereas 12, 15 years ago I probably couldn't. Now I can heat form it around a round table. I can stretch the product. I can do everything that Dynoc does. The accreditation wise, we've got a 10-year warranty on it, so we're in line there. Fire ratings exactly where they need to be as well in the marketplace. And competitive advantages, cost and availability would be the best thing I would say to you. We have a smaller range, but there's a reason for that. And that's that we want to focus on it always being available. There's no good me giving you a swatch book as a salesperson, going out, winning a specification, and they point to the one that they say, right, you need an MOQ of 3,000 meters and it's 12 weeks to get, because you've done all the hard work, but then your service lets you down. We've gone down the route of a smaller range, which I think we've covered a wide variety of colours in that range.
Definitely.
And obviously we can always improve that, and we always look to do that as we go. But our focus is on, we've got the right designs, but they're ready for you as a signage shop or whoever that may be, that we can supply you straight away without you having to worry, will it ever be in stock? When am I going to get it? And also, if you go and get that big specification, because we've got a smaller range, with the adaptability to work with you on your, the project plan that you've got. If you're going to say that you're going to be doing 200 bedrooms in a hotel, for example, well, what does that look like over the time? We'll make sure that that production's done to match every phase of your project, which, if you have a bigger range, you've got less flexibility to do that, because you're constantly having to make sure that you're topping up the stock of that. We've got 41 to focus on. And I think that makes us very different in the marketplace, not just here in the States, but globally. I find it in the UK. I'm competing with companies that have got 500 colours in their book. I know as well as the person that's carrying the book that they can't get all of them, but that's the offering that they've been given. So it looks more attractive, when in reality, that's not how it works. And I can guarantee you, if I gave, the next person that came to the stand a book of 500, they'll point to the one I don't have any stock of. It's just guaranteed. It happens every time. So actually, by giving people less choice, you're giving them a better service as well, which is what we're focusing on.
Last year at ISA, I got a book from a company whose name, obviously, I didn't recognize, that sells architectural films. And you're just thinking like, man, these look really nice. And the book is huge, right? And you're just thinking like, okay, I guarantee it's cheap, right? But is it going to be available? Who knows? And then you come here this year, right? They're not here. No. Are they still in business? Who knows? Even? Yeah. And if they are, it's probably already under a different name anyways. Yeah. So it's interesting that you bring it up, because I think that's a huge point, right? I think a lot of this type of stuff is becoming available, coming from overseas, from companies that you've never heard of before, who offer a 137-year warranty on their product, and they've been in business 12 days, And if you're not picking the right partner, it can be an absolute nightmare in the long run for you. So I think that's good. So you said there's 41. Mm-hmm. Those are across a few different series, correct? Yes. So how does that
finishes?
Lay out?
Yeah. So we've got our wood range. So I think we've got 12 in the wood range, 10 in our stone, so that the concrete and the marble, etc. We've then got 4 metallics, and we've kept the metallic range smaller because you don't tend to have many larger projects in the metallic. It tends to be smaller jobs or part of an accent in a wider project with some of the wood grains that go in there. But then we've got our soft matte colours, which are absolutely amazing for kitchens, particularly in the UK. I know some of the colours that we have in the UK, you guys haven't quite adopted yet, or we might be behind you. I'm not sure which way it works.
It's definitely the other way around. Because all the colours that are in there are all the ones that I feel like are just coming into style now. So
great.
You're probably a couple of years ahead of us here.
Yeah. We did quite a bit of research, and our product director Max, based in out of Woking in the UK, me and him went through quite a stringent process to add the colours.
Yeah,
it was interesting. I thought we'd have several arguments over the table as to what colour, but it worked out pretty well. But the soft matte colours are amazing. So we've gone through the like the navy blue sort of era, I'd say, in the UK. That's coming to an end.
Yeah.
But we've then replaced it with sage green, like a farmhouse green, which is now taking off and replacing it. Then you've got your staple ones like your soft matte black and white, etc. So that range is great. And then we also have our solid colours, which are a bit more textured, which I would probably use in higher traffic areas. Your soft mattes are great because they're a luxury feel and etc. But the slightly textured solid colours, I'd be using, say, in an airport or a school example where people are touching it all the time.
Healthcare facilities.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah.
And there's only 6 of them. There's greys, 1 blue, a white, and a black. So it's not a wide range of colours, but they're pretty standard colours that you'll find a lot of usage for.
Yeah, are you seeing the soft mattes being used more for walls and counters or cabinets and that kind of stuff?
Cabinets has been really popular.
Okay.
I mean, if I went through my LinkedIn, it's full of kitchen wrappers that have used the soft matte, and usually a soft matte, and then either the white or the black marble on top of the worktop, or a couple of wood grains. But the soft mattes has tend to be more the domestic market. I can see there being an application commercially, because of the design-led part of the colours, etc. But I think the domestic market, the soft matte's great for kitchen wrapping, and I think it's a matter of time before that really takes off in the US as an option. Costs for wrapping a kitchen now, I mean, to buy a new kitchen, are astronomical.
Yeah.
Like when I go to I can't even go walking around IKEA at home. I'm sure when I was like 20, it was quite, a couple of grand got you a new kitchen. A couple of grand doesn't even get you 2 kitchen doors now. So
it's gotten bad.
Yeah.
It's if you had designed the colors for the US over the last like 5 or 10 years, you would only needed like 2 shades of white and 2 shades of beige. That was all you would have needed the last 10 years. So we're just getting there now, There's a lot more color coming in, so it should be good. But they've been pretty white and sterile for a while here has been the style. So
and look, I mean, you could look at that as being clean cut and streamlined. We all get our design realistically. All the designs come out of Scandinavia for everybody. Everybody seems to follow that trend: clean cut doors, etc. You can add a bit of color now. Now we've got the actual structures right. We can add some color and make it look a lot better.
Yeah, that sounds good. Right. So obviously this is new to the market here. How have the customers like you mentioned, your LinkedIn would be full of them. How have the customers in the UK been reacting to the product?
So we've been launched 2 years ago in the UK. The UK, as I mentioned, has got quite a mature market. So we've got a few more competitors directly with us. But this is like, I don't want to downgrade anybody else's product, but this is really taken off in the UK. People love the smaller offering. They also love the fact that our adhesive on the back is really tacky and it gives you a lot of confidence to work with. So our feedback has been really positive, and I want to say something bad about my product just to give it a bit more real, but I love it. I can't. Yeah. I can't fault it. I mean, every time I've tested it, and there's been times where there's been a project that somebody's spoken to me about, I'm going, not sure that's a great idea, and it's gone and proved me wrong. Even down to some of our other products. There's a project going on in the UK where they're wrapping some doors with our anti-graffiti film over the top of it, and I was absolutely positive that wouldn't work on a textured wood grain finish. He did it in an hour, wrapped the door in both, and sent me a photo of it. It's absolutely perfect. So even when I think it's not going to work, it's working. I mean, there are times where I go see a specifier and have to say, look, it's not going to cover that. I've had the odd company say, oh, can you wrap these cubicle doors? Well, the cubicle door's got water damage to it where it's falling apart, and the film's not going to rectify that.
Yeah.
But everything else so far has been great, and we're just ticking off sectors as we go, even down to it's known as the world's best football stadium, which is the new Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London. They've wrapped all their hospitality tables in it. So it just shows that it doesn't have to be something that's dilapidated. They're doing it for a design reason. And they've got people coming in there that obviously when they first go in before the game, they're quite sober and quite respectful. And then, 2 hours later, they might be less so. And it stands up to that.
Yeah. For good or bad.
Exactly.
Depending how the game went.
if you're a Tottenham fan, it's largely bad at the moment. Largely very bad.
That's fair. I mean, I've been surprised just here in the US how often you just run into it, right? When you may not realize that you're sitting at a table or you're sitting next to what you think is a wood panel, and then you look at it again, and you're like, wait, hold on a second. I don't think this is actually wood that I'm looking at here. Well, it could be, just not the texture that you're looking at right on the surface. You're
going to start doing what I do, which is start putting my hand under the table and picking it. Take a risk that there's chewing gum under there, but I'm trying to find out every time.
Well, we literally just did this with somebody in the podcast studio. They came in, and we have like a rubber seal that's around the edge of the table, right? That also hides the seam, right? But there's a section where the rubber seal must have not quite got all the way over, so it's slowly starting to peel the Mia off the counter. And somebody said, "What's stuck on the counter here?" And I said, "It's vinyl." And they said, "What do you put vinyl?" I was like, "Yeah, the whole thing is vinyl." I was like, "I don't know how to explain this to you." They're like, "Wait, the whole thing is?" I was like, "Yeah." So we pulled off, because we have the mic stands go through the counter, right? So I can pull it off, and then I can physically show you, like, oh, here's like literally where it's scratching off, but only because I've bolted something down to the table, which has then gone through the vinyl, right?
Yeah.
But other than that, you'd have no clue unless I physically told you that it's not a wood.
And I think that's a really important thing to look at, not just from the design perspective, but you want people to think it's believable.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you are just replacing it with a cheap laminate. I mean, how many times do you see furniture that's an egger board that doesn't really have much texture to it? You know straight away that it's just a laminate worktop that's been pressed onto hard plywood. Ultimately, this gives you something that's a bit softer, a bit more realistic.
Yeah.
It makes you feel. I might be sad, but it makes me feel happier when I look at it than I think, oh, it's rubbish egger board. I've seen that a million times.
Well, speaking of that, look where we're at right now. We're at a trade show, right? And look how many booth proproperties every company in here owns.
Yeah.
And marketing budgets, unfortunately, are shrinking.
Yeah.
Sure. And it's not easy to go replace and rebuild all these structures. So that are what you just said, just laminated pressed board, just resurface it and for a fraction of the cost and save your marketing budget.
Yeah, especially if you have these, some of these sets, like you talked about kitchen furniture.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys know, obviously, because you probably just got whatever the booth is that's behind me here, but those things have gotten just atrocious to build. So if you're trying to redo it or make it look different, like luckily for most of us here, we're at least in the print business or know someone in the print business for the graphics on them, but the actual surface of them is a totally different story. And that's a huge one here at the shows too.
Another big value add from Metamark is, Tom talked about, how we can scale up inventory pretty quickly for a specific contracted project. But, even on the smaller projects, we've set up a nationwide network of distributors throughout the United States that will be able to sell this material by the yard or by the roll.
Yeah.
And as Tom mentioned, it's just extremely affordable compared to some of the alternatives.
Yeah.
I still find it hard in talking about selling it by the yard. I can't get my head around it at all.
Meters, yards.
Yeah. It's the only thing I measure yards in is a golf course. The rest of it is.
That's funny. The golf is still in yards, though.
Yeah, it's baffling, to be fair. And then my mind gets blown if I go to Spain and it's in meters because my watch has a meltdown on me. And it's hard work. But
that's funny.
Measuring this week. One of the guys from Capital Wraps gave me the measuring tape, and I pulled it out, looked at it, and said, "Look at it again." And then he said to me, "What's wrong?" I went, "That means absolutely nothing to me. I'm having to Google everything.
All your conversions,
everything."
You said, "Wow, your centimeters look bigger than ours."
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly that. And then he said, "What did he say to me?" He said, "Oh, this is the right way to do it." It's like I don't know anything about other than counting in tens. That's that's the metric system at home. I had
the exact same conversation yesterday. We're at Suma, right, which is made over in the UK, and both the guys are from Belgium. And I asked at one point, I just asked a normal question, right, which is like, "Oh, what size do you make these in?" And he thought about it for so long. He said, well, if I give it, he's like, can I give it to you in meters? Because that's a lot easier. So the first guy gives it to me in meters, and then the second guy interprets it for him into inches. He's like, yeah, that's, nice. And he has to think about it. And I was like, that's so funny to me that.
Well, fortunately, Scott from Metamark UPM has not left my side on this stand this week. So every time someone asks how long, tag, come on, Scott, answer that question. He's told me a million times, it just doesn't sink in. I just go sold by the meter, 50 meter roll, done, 20 wide, don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
Obviously,
for everybody listening to the pod, that's 48 inches by 164 feet.
Perfect. Yeah.
Sold by the yard, which we're actually shipping it out as 1.3 yards, which is a meter, if you were wondering.
Yeah, just to make it more complicated.
It's too confusing, though. If you told them it was by the meter, everyone would just be confused. They'd be out there with their rulers like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that.
Yeah. So we're simplifying it. You can buy it by the yard, but you're getting a little extra.
Okay. So available by the yard or the full roll then.
Right.
And available from a bunch of distributors, including Wensco. So that's perfect. So in 2026, G2G and Wensco will launch 2 new products into the market. The one is the United Stick, which is a high efficiency, affordable, and reliable product for your sign and lighting projects. The second is LumaLink, which has a power pin design that's made to be cut and done anywhere in the field or in your shop. This is for small channel letters or any large projects. Check them out at Wensco.com. This episode is brought to you by Arlon Graphics, trusted for innovative high-performance cast vinyls. Check out their newest product, DPF V9500, a non-PVC polyurethane wall film built to tackle ultra-textured surfaces like a pro. More exciting new products to come soon from Arlon. Check them all out at Wensco.com. So we had other questions, but we're running already long already. Is there anything else you guys wanted to add about it before we kind of wrap it up? If someone's interested, they're on the fence, what would you kind of say to convince them to at least try it and test it out?
Exactly that. Try it and test it out. I'd have a go with the film, find out what it can and can't do. You'll be amazed. Like the can't do list will be really small. And I think what we've learned this week in particular is there's an appetite for it, but also people are amazed at how simple it is and what it can achieve. So I'm really excited to see what happens now in the US off the back of this. We've got stock landed in the country. Josh's team have set up a network of distributors. I can only see this going one way, and I'm really excited to see what happens.
Yeah, nationwide availability shouldn't be an issue.
Perfect.
And I'll close on this. There was a race team recently that had their mission control technical engineer trailer that had laminated Formica countertops that looked like the white marble in the video here. And it was all chipped up around the edges. They cleaned up everything, made it all flush, and rewrapped it in our Barcelona stone. So instead of replacing all the tabletops in that race trailer, it looks like a brand new trailer now, just by, about 30 yards of concrete looking material. And it looks awesome.
Yeah. It is super cool. If you haven't seen it in person, I know we're getting a bunch of swatch books too, so reach out and we'll be happy to get someone to bring it out and show it to you and feel it. It's a product that I feel like as soon as you feel the product, it just makes sense to most people. As soon as you mention what it is and then they feel it, it clicks immediately. They know where it goes, what it can do, and all that stuff, and it's just getting them comfortable to try it. So
and the one thing I would say that we really are focused on is providing not just the product but the service around it. So whether that's me, whether that's Josh and the team, we'll talk to them about application. We'll even talk to them about helping them to go and get it specified. If they've got a customer that they want to get over the line, jump on a call with us, tag us in, we'll come and help. We'll come and tell them about the product. We'll support it and get that over the line and, really help grow the product and the customer base together.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate you guys coming on before the show, getting here early.
Yeah.
Luckily, you got your coffee on the way, so I'm glad that worked out. But I appreciate you guys coming on and being here early and let me set up in your booth and just kind of interrupt your entire workflow this morning. So hopefully this episode was enjoyable for you guys. You learned something about the product. If you have questions, reach out to us. We'll be happy to help. But thanks for listening, guys, and we'll see you in the next episode. So goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.